What is up, guys? Welcome back to YouTube Berlick for our last video of the year 2025, so that's pretty cool. And today we are kind of doing like a memorial of a guy that is the Prince of Darkness and the original heavy metal singer, Ozzy Osbourne's band, Black Sabbath, a band that I have been working on since his passing, sadly. Rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. Absolutely love him, and he was an incredible person, an incredible singer-songwriter, and though I believe that the first ever heavy metal song, Helter Skelter by the Beatles, the first ever heavy metal band was Black Sabbath, and they have a ton of other albums with many different all-time great singers, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, just an incredible band. All the other band members too, you know, with, of course, Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler and the drummer that I can't think of his name. But yeah, all the band members are incredible, and all the singers that they had are very good in their own right. But yeah, rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. There's a tribute to him to close out the year. I have been working on this ranking for a couple of months now. Let's get into it after the intro.
Hands up.
Alright guys, so that was the intro, and before we get into this, consider checking out my band, Bulls Chromoviet. I always put the link in the description, our album Views. It's pretty decent, but yeah, and also, Rookie of the Year, Tyler Shuck on my Saints. Anyways, let's get into the ranking, and coming in at last, this is pretty obvious, almost every single ranking ever for Black Sabbath puts this at last, and they have 19 studio albums. We're doing all the studio albums from all the singers, so coming in at number 19, I have Forbidden from 1995. I have my little card right here. And yeah, Forbidden, this is the album that all the Black Sabbath listeners are like, oh, why are you putting rappers on albums? Well, I'm actually not, like 50 years old like most 50 years old like most Black Sabbath listeners. I'm having a stroke today. My Invisalign, it's on the first day of this new set, so I might have a lisp. But yeah, so Forbidden has Ice-T on the first track, and like his lines does suck, but like putting rappers on metal albums, it doesn't matter. It's kind of a cool combination, just a lot of the Black Sabbath listeners oftentimes are just not into that kind of stuff, which I am, but it doesn't work at all. But I still think that the track that he is on, Illusion of Power, is pretty decent. Ian Gillan on vocals here, and then Get a Grip is also actually a quite good song, but there are some awful songs in here. Ice-T's line is awful, but also the track Guilty as Hell, I remember. That's not a good song at all. This album, I just think, is probably their only... They have a couple pretty bad albums, but this is the only, straight-up bad one. The highlight track is pretty good. Illusion of Power is pretty good as well, but, Ice-T kind of ruins it just because it's a bad line. Not because it's Ice-T, which is a bad line. And really uninteresting album. Thank goodness they had that final Last Hurrah album that when Ozzy came back, and we'll get to that later on. But yeah, coming in up next, we have Born Again from 1983. You got Ian Gillan on vocals, who, I'm sorry, Deep Purple, great band, but dang, his vocals are annoying on here because he's a great singer. But just like the screeches I saw in the DK Media music video, he talked about it too. All he goes is like, every few seconds as that feels. It gets really, really annoying, but a lot of people seem to like the track Digital B-Word. I don't like that song at all. That's one of the lowlights for me. And also, there is one song in here that I think is pretty good, Disturbing the Priest. And also the little Stonehenge interlude that comes before it is really cool. I love myself some ambient interludes. Disturbing the Priest is a pretty good song, but here's the issue. He goes, rah! At the end again. It's not good. I'm sorry. I can't stand the screeches on this one. And I know that it's a big thing that Ian Gillan does, but I'm sorry. It does not really work. So yeah, this one coming up next, this actually surprised me how low this one was. But yeah, my third least favorite Black Sabbath album, and I believe those first albums are bad, straight up bad. After this, they go to pretty mediocre, pretty okay with some highlight tracks. So we're kind of getting into the good territory now. So yeah, coming in up next at 17th, the third worst Black Sabbath album is Headless Cross from 1989. Now, this one actually surprised me. I thought this one would be a lot higher, but there are some pretty decent tracks. Nightwing, I guess we're going to get a Wings of Fire book series reference here. Like that song. When Death Calls Headless Cross are some pretty high reviewed tracks from them, and I like those as well. Kill in the Spirit World was my least favorite track on here, and again, just these next, maybe 8 selections are just all albums that have a couple very good tracks, but also a couple bad ones. And overall, just pretty mediocre albums, but they're definitely not bad. So, yeah. Coming in up next, we have Seventh Star featuring Tony Iommi. from 1986. Or they keep mispronouncing his last name. Iommi, something like that. But yeah, but again, stupid. Everyone talks about this every time. It is basically a Tony Iommi solo album, except they slapped Black Sabbath on there because back in the day, all the record labels, oh, gotta get an album done in a year. I don't know why, but that's always what they did. But like, the album itself, I think, is pretty solid. In for the Kill is a great opener, and Seventh Star is a pretty good song too. Some of the tracks in here do get pretty generic towards the back half. Angry Heart is very generic as well. But like, it's a pretty decent album, I think. It's just the fact that it doesn't really sound that Black Sabbath. But also, what a stupid thing at the end of the day. Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. I love myself some Beatles featuring Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Did you guys hear that? It's pretty rare for the Beatles to be featuring Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Like, why would you even say that? Like, that's just stupid. I guess maybe it's because it is like kind of like a solo album from him, but like, why would you say that? At the end of the day, everyone knows he's part of Black Sabbath. That's so stupid. I don't know why they would do that, but there's definitely couple pretty decent songs on that one. Coming up next from 1992. Dehumanizer. I feel like a lot of people put this one higher than I did, but yeah, Computer God, really good track. And also, After All the Dead, I really didn't see many people talking about that song. That's a really good song. And then, again, towards the back half of the album, usually get some generic tracks like Time Machine. But, there's one, like, really, really good song in here, and that is Master of Insanity. Every time the riffs hit you hard, great verse, like, that is definitely probably by far the best song from the 90s. I really enjoyed that song. And, yeah, that song, along with a couple other highlights, does really get to it, but a lot of these albums, I mean, one is from the 80s, but a lot of these are like from their 90s era, kind of, and a couple, random projects like the Born Again and Tony Iommi solo album. But this next one, from the OG Ozzy Osbourne, rest in peace, time, and that is from 1976. Technical Ecstasy. This song is one of their classics, Dirty Woman, which is obviously the main highlight. But, You Wouldn't Change Me, She's Gone. I believe those songs are at the beginning of the album. Those were pretty good as well. Just, yet again, just some pretty uninteresting stuff. Like, It's All Right. I don't like that song. But, yeah, Dirty Woman closed the album. What a way to close it. Incredible track. But my just question is, you have, these, is it 6? Their first 6 albums, they're all classics, Probably a top 5 best 6-album run in music history. Any genre. Top 5, 6-album run in history with those, 6 classics. The debut, Paranoid, Mass Reality, Volume 4, what is it? Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Sabotage. And then you get this album, and it's like, okay, it's whatever, Pretty much the definition of whatever. I haven't marked it a 5.8 out of 10. So, yeah, it has Dirty Woman, a couple also pretty decent tracks. I don't really know. It's kind of disappointing. Imagine being a Sabbath listener back in the day. I feel like it'd still be pretty mind-blowing for that time being, but, yeah. Coming up next, I have Tear from 1990. What did I say? Coming in next, I guess. It's Tear from 1990. Couple, again, decent tracks, but also some not so good ones. Like, Feels Good to Me. I don't like that song at all. But, Anna Mundi, right? Anna Mundi, whatever. That's a good track. The Lawmaker, Valhalla. That's how they say it in the song, even though it should be Valhalla. Those are all good tracks. And this album, honestly, is pretty mid again, but it stands up. And Black Sabbath, when you think of Black Sabbath, you obviously think of Ozzy Osbourne. And, that's what the casual listeners of Sabbath, they just know the band and like what they hear. But then you're also going to think of Dio probably next. People forget they have so many other albums that, stretch into the 90s and one in 2013. Again, we'll get to that. But, yeah, next up, also from the Ozzy era, We Have Never Stayed Dead from 1978. And a lot of people would be like, hey, the album might not be very good, but the album cover is good. I actually don't think this album cover is good at all. I think it looks stupid, honestly. The people with, the masks. It looks like AI in 1978. I don't like that at all. But at least it has some good songs. Technical Ecstasy from the original Ozzy albums had one classic and Dirty Woman. This one doesn't really have any classics, but Junior's Eyes and Air Dance are kind of as close as you're going to get. Air Dance is really cool because it has a lot of jazz and prog rock, influence. It sounds really, really cool. And they do a lot of experimentation on this album, but it actually works on that song. And then Over to You is another just not so great song. But yeah, honestly, I do think that this album, the album cover might suck. It does have some good experimentation, but also experimentation that falls absolutely flat at times. Coming up next, is that right? I don't know. But coming in from 1994, is Cross Purposes. Hey, I mean, there's two really great tracks on here. Virtual Death and Eyewitness, which is a really, really good song. Problem is, What's the Use is one of my least favorite songs a band ever did. It's just so generic. It's like dad butt rock from the 90s, but yeah. I mean, another one of those albums from the 90s, they're just like pretty good, but just like not really there to being super enjoyable. Next up, I think this also has one or two really, really good songs. The Eternal Idol from 1987. And yeah, I'll get it out of the way. Lost Forever, again, one of my least favorite tracks the band ever did. But it was surprising me. Black Sabbath, you know, in the 80s, aside from like the Dio albums, not really the best produced, but The Shining, like really great song with great vocals and, you know, guitar riffs, of course. But the production here actually does quite hold up. And Ancient Warrior, another good song. So, you know, I'm kind of cruising through these, but not that much to say. Again, they're just pretty mediocre to good. Pretty solid stuff that is just, you know, not Beatles level, not Bullets from a Beat level. No, I'm just kidding. It definitely is. But just stuff that always has a couple of very good highlight tracks. And I do think that The Eternal Idol has a lot better production than other ones for me. So, yeah. Next up, let's look at more Dio stuff. Mob Rules from 1981. And this one has, you know, again, a lot of experimentation. Some of it falls flat. Some of it is really good. You know, Falling Off the Edge of the World, the title track, very good songs. I think people always shout out 3 songs on this album. The title track, Falling Off the Edge of the World, and, of course, The Sign of the Southern Cross, which is a lot of people's highlights from the Dio times. And, yeah, I can see why. It has a lot of really good sections, Sign of the Southern Cross. It's just, again, tracks like Country Girl, not it. And I just think that Dio's era in the band, Dio might be one of the greatest metal singers of all time, probably top 5. I think his stuff, honestly, this is going to be a hot take, but I think a lot of it sometimes falls flat and just is kind of mid. But those are 3 really, really great tracks. So, yeah, Mob Rules. I give it a 6.2 out of 10. It's far from bad. Do not get that confused, okay? But now we are entering, you know, again, we had the 2 bad albums. The only 2 bad albums in Sabbath's entire discography with Forbidden and Born Again. And then we had the mid. Now we're starting to get into good to great stuff, okay? And coming up next, probably going to be a hot take. But I have from 1980, Heaven and Hell. Dio's debut with the band. And I know what you're saying. You're probably thinking like, what? Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of his stuff sometimes just falls flat, but don't worry, okay? Because Children of the Sea, Heaven and Hell, Die Young. Phenomenal songs. DK Media Music, I was watching some rankings. That's always what I like to do when I'm ranking a band. I get into watching other people's rankings of it. He said that Heaven and Hell was his favorite Sabbath song. And yes, it is one of their most popular songs. The most popular song with Dio, Heaven and Hell is. I think that it is good. It's great. But it's not, like, God tier. Alright guys, sorry for the pause there. My iPhone was acting up. Because that's what I film on. But, where was I? Heaven and Hell. Yeah. The title track is very, very good, but I don't think it's God tier like some people think. Rest in peace to Dio. I'm not the biggest fan of his solo stuff or much of what he did, but obviously one of the greatest singers of all time. Still rest in peace. Yeah, I just think Heaven and Hell is kind of overrated. And here's another one that I think is overrated, but also at the same time, some people rank it at like number 1, and some people have it around this point. And as we were getting into, again, we're in the good to very good albums, and here we are up next. Volume 4, the first album from the original 6. Yeah, Volume 4. This is a very good album that I think suffers from them being too experimental with the production and what they do. Because the production here is very inconsistent. Some songs are quieter than others, and some songs sound incredible. Some songs sound like trash, to be honest. But Wheels of Confusion, incredible. Supernaut sounds massive, and FX is pretty cool as well. Changes, I know it's a good ballad, pretty good vocal performance from Ozzy as well, but it just doesn't really do that good. And like the last 3 tracks in here, Laguna, Surprise, St. Vitus, Dance, Under the Sun, I could do without those. I don't really care. But yeah, though the production might be consistent, it does have some very good songs. But also, Volume 4 has my absolute favorite Black Sabbath song of all time, and that is Snowblind. Snowblind, my favorite Black Sabbath song, and that really helps this thing be up this high. Like, Snowblind, just the writing about cocaine, phenomenal. Whenever I hear anything about cocaine, I just think Snowblind, and then I play it. All the riffs are incredible. Ozzy has one of his best vocal performances. Everything about it, the breakdown and like the last verse when they implement that mellotron, it's just like you're like, no, and then the guitar solo at the end, it just goes so hard. It's so emotional. It's so well written, and it's just my favorite Black Sabbath song. Yes, the production might be inconsistent, but it has a couple great tracks and my favorite Sabbath song and one of my favorite songs of all time, maybe in my top 10. But yeah, up next we have yet another original 6 classics. I got Sabotage from 1975. I mean, this is when Sabbath might be pretty inconsistent with production, but this album is produced phenomenally. Songs like, what was it, Hole in the Sky, Symptom of the Universe, which has maybe the heaviest metal verse of all time. DK Media Music was talking about that. I keep referencing him, my favorite ranker. But that might be actually the heaviest riff of all time. Just an insane chugging guitar riff. Fills, Ozzy Osbourne shrieking. It sounds incredible. Megalomania is a really great song. Really long one as well. And the thrill of it all. I really enjoyed it as well. But Am I Going Insane? One of their worst songs. I do think that there's about 4 phenomenal tracks on here. And then everything else, again, I can do without. But yeah, Symptom of the Universe. And how it gets, like less heavy at the end. Really good. This one is a hot take. My 5th favorite Black Sabbath album is 13 from 2013, but it's their 19th album. Yeah. 13. The last hurrah to the band. Too bad they couldn't get their drummer. Oh, Bill Ward, that's his name. Love him too. But they got Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave, one of my top 10 favorite artists of all time. So, it's not much of a downgrade. But it is said they couldn't get the last hurrah, but at least they got Ozzy back, So, pretty good. And this album is just produced incredibly. Rick Rubin, my favorite producer of all time, is also producing it. Everything just came together here. And I think that it's way more consistent than Sabbath Volume 4 and Sabotage, even if it's not like, maybe it doesn't have the highs. But End of the Beginning and God is Dead and Loner, the first 3 tracks, the singles, also my favorite songs the band ever did. Even if the second half isn't as good, Dear Father, kind of whatever, the bonus tracks are still great. All right, guys, I had to fix my phone again, but the problem's done. We should be good now for the rest of the video. No more cuts. But yeah, we are in the top 5 of Black Sabbath albums, and again, 13, just every single riff on End of the Beginning. I've been listening to that song a lot. I'm pretty sure my most played song on Spotify the last couple weeks. I guess this week, maybe 2 weeks. And yeah, I just think that God is Dead, Loner, those 3 songs are great. And though Dear Father, the closer, is my least favorite, I believe there's a reference to that Bell in the Rain that opens up the band on the debut. And I just think that's a really good way to bookend their careers as Black Sabbath, even if there are bonus tracks that are quite good as well. I'm just talking about the original 8-track album, and I just think the production, the features on it, just Ozzy's vocal performance. He sounds great considering what health issues he was starting to run into. And he was 7 years old here, maybe a bit younger. It's just a great bookend to the band, even if Bill Ward, the drummer, is not there. Brad Wilk is not a bad replacement from Rage and Audioslave and so many other things. But yeah, it is a really great album, and I really love how it bookended the band. Yeah. Coming in at number 4 now. That might have been a surprise one there, even though it is higher than Volume 4. Of course, Volume 4 does have Snowblind. But at number 4 is another album early from the band that suffers from production, but the actual things that they did on it was phenomenal. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath from 1974. Pretty good. This album I got for Christmas. I'll go over my CD haul and some Christmas gifts that I got for my next video, maybe a couple days after New Year's Day. But yeah, sorry that I have been burping issues right now. But this album is really good. I listened to it twice now, just twice, and I already knew Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, the titled song. Incredible, just Ozzy's vocals. That guitar riff is incredible, and I just absolutely love it. That's one of my favorite tracks I've ever did. And National Acrobat is really great, too. I love that song. And Fluff, it might be like an interlude, but it's still 4 minutes, and it's beautiful instrumentation, acoustic as well. I love Fluff. Sabracadabra, Killing Yourself to Live. Those are also very, very good songs. The first 5 songs in here all are incredible. Even Fluff, the interlude, is a great acoustic song. And I love this album. So grateful for it for Christmas. Yay. But I think the last 3 songs are kind of just all right. I actually think Spiral Architect is pretty solid. But Who Are You and Looking for Today? Not it. Like, The production on here is, again, not as inconsistent as Volume 4, just kind of thin sounding and kind of low volume, but that's fine. The riffs, Ozzy's vocals, this is probably his peak vocally. Either Sabotage or this album or Ozzy's peak vocal-wise, in my opinion. But yeah, this album is great. Some of the best riffs they've ever had on here. And even if the last 3 songs do kind of fall off a bit, the first 5 are some of the band's best. And I'm very happy I got this one for Christmas because it's quite good. Love it a lot. Now we're on the top 3, and I think this top 3 is pretty expected. It is actually the band's first 3 albums in order. But yeah, I have them all on CD too, as I got them for my birthday. Let's get in. What is going to be number 3? Number 3 is the one that started it off. Maybe Helter Skelter is the first ever metal song, but the first ever true metal album, and blues, is Black Sabbath. Legendary. And I feel like people do put this one lower, and you might be saying, oh, you're overrating it just because the title track, just because it's the first album. I'm not. I think this album is truly that good. It really, really is. It was recorded all in one day. Ozzy Osbourne had a cold. His voice sounded a lot deeper. Like, not only did Ozzy obviously not have much vocal training and wasn't as used to singing here, but he also had a cold. So the vocals are definitely different here, but they're still nasally as usual, just extra nasally. Very great album cover. Iconic. And yeah, obviously they do, I believe, reference the bell that opens up the band on 13, the last track on that album, which again is really cool. They begin and end with that, if I'm right. I'm pretty sure I am. But yeah, the title track, Black Sabbath, is maybe their best song. It's in my top 10 favorite songs the band ever did. What a riff. It's haunting, and it goes ham in the last minute. I love that song. Just imagine how insane it would be to listen to that when it came out. Insane. And The Wizard, another great song. Love the harmonica that Ozzy does on this thing. And then, yeah, obviously I absolutely love the title track. Everyone does. And The Wizard is very good too. But then track 3, they have these medley tracks on here that are kind of long, 10 minutes. Wasp / Behind the Wall Sleep / Basically / NIB. That is my favorite song on this album. That song is one of my favorite Sabbath songs, probably in my top 3. Because Wasp, I believe, is just that little like jazzy first 30-second intro. It is really cool though. And then Behind the Wall of Sleep is really, really good. Love the riffs, love the vocals. Even if Ozzy's voice is kind of extra nasally and deep here, he still sounds really cool and really creepy too. This is an absolute Halloween album. I listened to this on Halloween this year. And then basically, goated bass solo, and then NIB is one of the band's classics. That medley, track 3, is just really, really good. And then Wicked World, and then the other medley, that's track 5. Those songs are all right, but it's such a legendary album, the first ever true heavy metal album, and the first 3 songs are just so darn good. And I really do think, you might be saying that I'm overrating it. Maybe I am. I don't know, though. I just think this album does deserve to be here at number 3. So at number 2, this one is such a tight thing. 2 of the most acclaimed metal albums of all time. I thought this one would be number 1, but it's actually not. Number 2, the most iconic metal album ever, either this or Master of Puppets. Paranoid coming in here at number 2. When a child is born, they already know War Pigs. They already know the titled song. They already know Iron Man. I don't know how, but it's kind of true. Everybody knows. Everyone knows that. Come on. Everybody knows Paranoid. And yeah, you can argue, even I'm getting a bit tired of Paranoid and Iron Man. But as Sea of Tranquility said, oh yeah, I still groove to War Pigs. Of course you do. That is maybe my favorite song of this album. I don't know, because Planet Caravan, maybe a bit overrated, but it's still a great acoustic, it's a ballad. Completely different. Like, this first album just kind of goes ham the entire time. And the first 2 tracks in here go ham, and they got Planet Caravan. Very interesting. These were made in the same year. These albums were made in the same year. Just think about that. But, yeah. And again, the debut's production, it's okay. Same thing with the production here, though it does sound a bit better. But then, like, Electric Funeral, great haunting song. Hand of Doom, great. Rat Salad, just a great drum solo. And Fairies Wear Boots is pretty good as well. This album has just some absolute classics. And it is so good. Really, really is. And all I can say is that it's basically a perfect album. There's really no flaws about it. All the performances are on point here. And just the entire band is just young guys having fun, writing about some incredible things, having some iconic performances and lyrics. It might be a perfect album. It might be the most iconic album. But I'm sorry. Putting this at number 1 feels good. And I'm happy that Master of Reality is my favorite Black Sabbath album. Master of Reality. My goodness. We got our infinite loop that I always have to point out. what else can I say? I mean, as I just mentioned here, yes, the experimentation on Volume 4 and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath makes for pretty inconsistent, alright production. The first albums are all pretty alright produced as well. But Master Reality, this album sounds incredible. It's kind of in the mix between like, oh, now we're a true professional band, and oh, we're going to experiment. So it really gets that perfect sound. It is
down-tuned to like the depths of hell. It is that down-tuned.
And it sounds good. You open up with the cough. And then you just get into the riff of Sweet Leaf. I love Sweet Leaf, you know. Gotta love my Sweet Leaf. Love that song. And it goes really crazy in the middle section too. Sweet Leaf is just so good. It's iconic, one of their classics. And then After Forever is just another great song. Again, this album just sounds so good. It's in that perfect middle time of their production. And Roger Band was he was the producer here. He kills it yet again. And this, just an iconic album cover overall. Iconic, that text. And I just do think, Paranoid might have all the classics on it. This one does still have classics too, like Sweet Leaf and Children of the Grave, which that riff is just insane. Love Children of the Grave. It's pretty haunting too, despite being, it's written about, it sounds dark, but it's actually not. But then also the little, Embryo and Orchid interludes. Those songs are nice. I really like the string arrangements in Embryo, And then Lord of This World, holy crap, that riff. That song is incredible. And as I said, Planet Caravan might be a bit overrated for being their first ever ballad. But then you got Solitude. That might be up there with Snowblind. Snowblind is my favorite Black Sabbath song. Solitude might be second. That is apparently Ozzy Osbourne singing on there. You talk about, Ozzy Osbourne, of course, known for his high-pitched, nasally voice, but he could get a lot of variety in his voice. And that's him singing on Solitude. My name means nothing. Incredibly written. And Into the Void's a great closer too. This album is perfectly produced, and I just think that maybe Paranoid is the more iconic, perfect option. But if I'm picking a Sabbath album to keep with for the rest of my life, I'm picking Master of Reality. It's a 10 out of 10. Great album here. And Happy New Year to everybody. I think that's all I have to say. Again, rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. It will be a different world without him. Incredible person. Incredible singer, songwriter. He's never going to be forgotten. Especially with an album like this. Dang.
Thanks for watching this video. Now look at this person. And again, thank you for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe, even though Burlick is bad. Anyways, bye.